You're watching HNL. I'm Ursula and this is the show where we learn how to build a confident voice so that we can advance in our careers and our personal lives. And today's confident voice guest is Nico Steyn. Nico is the master of storytelling, and he helps business people with storytelling skills in order for them to have more connection and advance in their careers. So welcome, Nico.
Thank you. Wow, what an opening.
It is also an honor to have you here because you are the creator of HNL High Noon Live with My Big
So
Smart
nice.
Up.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so much fun. This is kind of unusual for me to be interviewed, so here goes.
Here we go. Well, I have so much to explore with you with regards to storytelling, and like every confident voice goes through a windy journey. What are some of the highlights of your journey that got you to where you are now?
Yikes. I think my interesting one is obviously that, I started at a very early age at Mnet, and I was creative director at some 21, 22 years old. So it was unusual to work with a whole lot of people who were older than me. Very hard to manage because they were creatives. Yeah. And I suppose that's kind of where I think a lot of my groundwork started in terms of exploring creativity, exploring working with people, and I suppose then confidence.
Yeah. So you've got this TV background, which definitely comes in, like, even with this show. Please tell us about the idea with this show, the 3 segments, and how you've structured that.
So a lot of storytelling is based in structure. Obviously, structure is very it's very prevalent in all kinds of great story and history of researching stories and how stories really land well. And I think particularly television, much more so. You know, if you look at a TV show, a TV half an hour, a sitcom is very specifically structured in 3 acts, and there's a way that audiences use it. It rolls out in a way that is very specific, and we understand what's going to happen in today's episode and the setup and where it's going to go. And it made a lot of sense to me that even in working in this space of doing online communication and so on, that structure is already comfortable with audiences, and that's why it's handy to do that, or to use that when we start doing stuff online.
So that's why we're watching a 3-act structure show
The long
today.
story, the long version, I'm sorry.
So in your journey of entrepreneurship and where you are right now, what have been some of the challenges that you've had to face in finding your voice?
I think creatively that was one of the hard ones in the early days, and I think that was probably the biggest challenge, working with people who are a lot older, and of course, as I said, with absolutely no management skill whatsoever. I had to work with a really unruly bunch of creatives, and I think that was really where some of the big key moments dropped for me in how do you hear other people's voices, and how do you make sure that everybody in the room is really listening and participating, because as a creative director, that's what you have to do. You have to bring in people because they all have to be part of this thing in order to see what you can explore that's the most creative. And then of course also I think a very hard one in that space is how to try and underplay your own ego, because you have to listen to the other good ideas in the room, and sometimes they're bad, right? But you have to go, that could work. So that's some of the biggest learning I think I had in the industry.
Now, what is your true north? That thing that guides you, your why, the reason why you wake up in the morning?
Would you know what it is in a movie? something that made me once watch Sunset Boulevard. Yes. And there's this famous finale scene, you know, when Norma Desmond comes down the staircase and she says, "I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille."
No, I can't.
No, okay. You've got to see that movie, Sunset Boulevard. But there is a moment just before that when Norma speaks, because she's very confused. She's just killed her lover, and it's a really dark ending. And she has a moment where she remembers her time in the cinema as a young star, and she has this moment where she says, "May I speak to the camera, please, Mr. DeMille?" And she's confused, as you know, she's a murderess. Really loopy. And she has this moment where she says to the camera, "I'm so happy to be able to speak to my wonderful people in the dark." And the moment that I heard this, I thought, you know what, here's a crazy, crazy person. But it was her life's ambition to be able to just talk to her wonderful people in the dark. And in that moment, I suppose, I thought, I'm one of those people in the dark watching something right now, and it really sucks. How can I help people to be better at it? And that's really it's really something that was a moment that started for me to go, this is how I want to help people to make a connection with those people in the dark. Because every time there's somebody flickering on a screen, there are a lot of people in the dark watching it. And we have to make sure that it has impact. And we make sure that it connects. And we make sure that people remember that and pass it on.
And that's the key word, right? There's to make impact.
To make impact.
Because our voices matter and we have so much to share.
Absolutely.
Now, you have such a great knowledge of movies and entertainment. What movie would be your life?
Oh, no, you're not going to ask me that right now.
It's a great question.
What movie would be my life? I think one of my favorite films, and it probably reflects a lot about my own life, is Cinema Paradiso.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful art movie. It's an Italian art film, and it's really about a story of a small town and how movies have influenced it. And this little boy who grows up to be the projection assistant and learns things from the projectionist about life, but reflecting from the movies. And I think I learn a lot from the movies, and I think, I don't know, I'm that little projectionist.
I think stories are little manuals for living, and there's so many nuggets of wisdom that we can get from them. Check in with us after the break, where we're going to be exploring story structure with Nico and how you can use it when you are pitching and talking to people. See you after the break.